Yes, so Vortex here, and welcome to my review of the TRN MT3. These are a single dynamic driver earphone, and obviously priced on the affordable side like the other previous MT models are. And this is a full metal shell compared to the original like plastic ones, so it's quite a level up. And yet, as usual, full disclaimers, I like to say I grabbed this one for the TRN promo discount store. I was not paid to do this video, and all thoughts and opinions are my own, and obviously as usual I'll link where I got it from in the description. And yeah, let's just get into it. So it just comes in kind of a basic box. These are metal, which we'll have a look at in a bit. Nothing there, just some specs there on the website. So I've tried some of their previous like cheaper models before, and this is obviously on the cheaper side, and always been like average, then been nothing special. But yeah, all metal, which is quite good. Obviously they're tubing, titanium diaphragms. They're not very big, very simple, but I like that. But yeah, metal, which is quite good at this kind of price. So let's see what kind of cable. So obviously some paperwork in there. Let's see what kind of cable we get. This also, like I've said a few times, it uses the same connector type as KZ's. So if you have to use cables from something off a KZ, these will fit. So right angle connector, which I prefer. Seems like normal kind of KZ kind of cables, and that's the connector type. So yeah, there's no colours on them, I don't think. Yeah, so that's the cable. Comes with these tips already fitted, which seem fine. So look in this one. Yeah, so just normal kind of black tips there. Obviously, like I said, paperwork there, nothing there. Let's have a look at this. Good to see they've included a bunch of different kind of tips. Especially at the lower end, you don't normally get, you just get one set, and like that's it. And that's it, so yeah. So you actually get 14 tips. So, and these ones on there are a bit different. See, that was fitted. That's a separate one, so a bit different. But anyway, yeah, I'll see what these are like. Hopefully they tune pretty good, because some of the other ones wasn't very good. And yeah, I'll see you in the future. Yes, so finally welcome to my review section of the TRN MT3s. Obviously I've tried some of these cheaper models before, and they've always been like not that good, but this is a better set, but obviously I'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, you can have a look over them. So these are obviously all metal, like I've shown you before. Very subtle, but very clean looking. There's a bit of a kind of looks like mesh, shall we say, but yeah. Vent there. So yeah, single dynamic driver. And let's get into comfort. So I found these not too bad at all. I've tried worse and I've tried better. I wouldn't say they're uncomfortable. They are very small. Obviously these are metal, so if you're using these on a cold day, you probably will feel it a bit, but apart from that, I don't have any issues. And the same for actual build quality. Seems, I think for under $20, these are like pretty good, to be honest. Even the fit finish, the tolerances, you can see like the line there, seems very good. So not much to say about stuff like that. Seems perfectly fine. So power and sensitivity, again, something else. I tried this with a few different sources. No issues at all kind of power these. I think most DDs like this are never too tricky to power, so always bear that in mind. Balanced armatures are more of a problem normally, but the single DDs, unless you get some kind of funky one with some weird material, they're never too bad to drive. So tonality, these actually not bad at all. Again, I've tried better, I've tried worse. Under the $20 bracket, the tonality of these is pretty good, to be honest. I was very happy with that. Obviously, they don't sound like BAs are normally the worst with these cheapo armatures, but this being a single DD only, which covers obviously full range, it sounds, the tonality of these is actually pretty good. So I was quite happy with it. Stage imaging is okay. I've tried better. I'd probably want a bit more stage, but I'm quite fine with what these are. No problems really. They do what they're supposed to do. Isolation as well was fine really. I wish it could have been better, but obviously DDs don't seal like full armatures, which sometimes don't even have a vent. But anyway, so yeah, sound, obviously that's what we're here for. So I'll overlay the graph now. Now these are tuned quite a bit different to something like the MT1 or like EDX Pros. That's the older, cheaper single DDs. These are quite different, as in a good way. So low end, on the graph, it looks a little bit bass than I thought, but the low end on these is actually quite solid for its price. Again, I use decent sources, as in things with low impedance, so I had no issues powering them, and the low end is actually quite good quality really. It's got good texture. It has enough slam. The decay seems pretty good. For the genres I tried, which is electronic, about EDM, electronic, trance, side trance, bit of techno, bit of pop music, and some kind of random rap, hip hop, it seems fine. I think for some genres you might want a bit more, but overall it seems fine really. I didn't have any issues at all. So straight into the mid-range, quite clean really. Very little bleed at the lower mid-range. These do sound quite clean. I didn't expect this from what they was. I was expecting kind of more of a V shape. But obviously they're not really. Well, it is a really gradual V shape, if you want to call it that. But yeah, mid-range is actually quite solid, quite clean. Everything's where it's supposed to be. Like the upper mid-range is a very clear, gradual elevation, which I do like. Obviously, again, I was quite happy with these. I was expecting big V shape to be like recessed in the middle, and they don't really sound like that. They sound better than I expected, to be honest. They're not actually a bad set. Yeah, but yeah, vocals for male and females both sound kind of right really. I was quite happy with it. Now treble is elevated, as you can see, and there's a little bit of an imbalance, but that might just be my set between 5 and like 8. And I didn't really notice that when I was using it. I graphed these afterwards. It can get a little elevated and it's a bit forward in some sections. So some instruments are obviously more forward than others, or they sound more aggressive than others. It depends on what volume you listen at. If you're a loud user, obviously be careful, obviously, because hearing is important, and 2, it makes it more fatiguing. But I don't normally listen that loud, but I did notice it being more forward there. But everything is very clear, and instrument separation these is actually pretty good as well. These on the whole sounded better than I expected, but the only real negative I'd say with these for the treble, it does roll off. As you can see, from 8 to 10 it drops off, and there's a peak like 14. I never really noticed that, to be honest. But it does roll off. It's not like some of the KZ models which like extend more. Obviously these don't do it. They seem to have more air than these, but obviously that's a different kind of model. But yeah, the treble on these is not too bad at all. It is more forward, so just bear that in mind. Now for some genres that is very helpful. Like I've tried this for some classical pieces, and it does a really good job of that. But some genres it can be fatiguing, so you have to just be careful. Depends on what you listen to. Maybe if you like a bit of heavy metal, it can be a bit forward, but if you turn the volume down a touch, it's not too bad. Also, EQ is also your friend. If you quite adapt with EQ, that can solve many things. But yeah, I probably won't go on too long. But conclusion, do I actually recommend these? Yes. They sound better than I expected them to be. Like I said, I was expecting big V shape, and they aren't that, which is actually quite a surprise. Again, these are on the affordable side, so these are under 20. Obviously, you get 2 sets of tips. You get a generic cable, which works fine. Just be wary of the treble, but on the whole sound signature sounds pretty good. Now, the graph did remind me something like the Moondrop True and the 7Hz Zero, but they are, if you do check the graphs, they do measure a bit different. It just looks similar when I first glanced at them, but obviously they're tuned a bit different. But anyway, yeah, they seem to be a pretty good set, to be honest. Better than I expected. Good to see decent-ish tuning at the low end. Again, they're not perfect for what I've said before. And yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much it. If you want to know anything particular, as usual, please let me know in the comments. And after this, I've got the Shure S12 Pro to review and the QKZ HBB as well. So look forward to them. And obviously I've got a bunch of stuff to do after that. Plenty of stuff to do. And yeah, as usual, like, subscribe and all the fun stuff. And see you next video.